Hey guys, we are going to do our best mistake from Monday's slides from our math assignment. It was the last story problem. It was our best mistake. Let's try, we're going to go over it together so we can see what our best mistake was. Okay, so here is our story problem. Kelly is using a bucket to fill up a barrel with water from a well. The barrel holds 25 and 5/10 liters. The bucket holds 800 milliliters. The barrel already has 5 and 2/10 liters of water in it. What is the least number of buckets needed to fill the barrel? Okay, so I drew a picture to help me with my story problem, and I highly suggest whenever it's helpful, you draw a picture as well. You can also just write down. In our math video in our lesson that we did today, we just wrote down what we knew. But this time I drew pictures. Actually, when you see this, it's going to be our math video from yesterday because I'm making it after our math video lesson. All right, so first I draw the picture of my barrel, and my barrel is definitely bigger than my bucket. My barrel holds 25 and 5/10 liters. So I drew that in purple and I underlined it in purple so it helps me keep track. Like mental check, I've finished that one. The next number I get to is my 800 milliliters. That's my bucket. So I did that one in green. I wrote how much it holds and then I underlined it in green. And then I come to that the barrel already has 5 and 2 liters. So I did blue. It helps me think of that water. And I drew a little wavy line of water right here. And I put in that it already has 5 and 2/10 liters. So I have 2 liter measurements and 1 milliliter measurement. It would be easy just to switch my millimeter measurement into a liter, but then I'm working with decimals. And I don't really want to work with decimals. I want to work with whole numbers. So very first, I'm going to switch my measurements to all be milliliters. So here I have my purple number. It helps me keep track. That's my barrel. Now, I need to change that from liters to milliliters. So I want you to think about our chart that we've been using in math. Liter is always in the middle. Liters in the middle, and then I have milliliters. Now, I remember from my ruler that millimeters are definitely smaller than centimeters. So I know I'm going from a larger measurement or bigger measurement to a smaller measurement. So I'm going to have more units of milliliters than I do of liters. If you think on your chart, that's moving to the right. That helps me know that my decimal is going to move to the right, which means that I'm multiplying. I'm making it bigger. I need to make this number bigger because there's more units of millimeters than liters when I change it. So now how many times do I need to move that decimal? I know I'm moving it to the right. How many times do I need to move that to the right? Well, I know because I've done a lot of practice that milliliters, there's 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter. Now remember, if you don't remember, you just use your chart. It says it right there in our chart from our lesson. So I need to move that decimal. I'm going to just erase my liter thing right there so I have a clean slate to move my decimal. So I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3 places. That's where my decimal is going to move to. So I'm just going to add those zeros. So I have 25,500 milliliters. That's how big my barrel is. So now I'm going to do my measurement of water that I already have. I know I have 5 and 2/10 liters. Now I want to change that to milliliters. Well, I'm doing the exact same thing that I did up here. I'm going from a big measurement to a small measurement. I'm moving to the right of my chart. That means I'm going to be multiplying. I'm going to be moving my decimal to the right. And because I'm staying with milliliters, I know that I need to move it those 3 times. So I'm going to get rid of my L right here for liters. And I'm going to move this decimal 3 places. 1, 2, 3. There's my decimal. I know I can just fill those in with zeros. And when I do that, I have 5,200 milliliters. This is a comma there. There we go. Okay, so let me go back to my problem. What do I need to do now? Okay, Kelly needs to fill up that barrel. The barrel holds, now we know it holds 25,500 milliliters. We know that the bucket still holds 800 milliliters. And we know that the barrel already has 5,200 millimeters. Well, I know that this, we need to figure out, what's that last thing? Our last sentence of our story problem. In this story problem, I know that it's my last sentence because it asks the question. It's asked me what I need to know. It says, what is the least number of buckets needed to fill the barrel? Now, I know that if I just figured out how many buckets went into this barrel, I would actually overflow my barrel because it already has 5.2 liters or 5,200 milliliters. So I don't want to I need to fill it all the way up, but I can't just work with this number or else I would overflow it. There would be too many. So I need to subtract this, my water that I have, I need to subtract that away from my total because that's going to be my new total to figure out how many of my buckets I need to fill it up. So let's do that. Subtraction. I have 25,500. And notice I keep using my colors. I'm using my colors so I remember what number I'm talking about. What does that have to do with my story problem? This helps me keep track of what I'm doing. Okay, so now I have my 25,500. Take away that water I already have. I don't need to figure out that water because it's already there. So 0 take away 0, 0, 0 take away 0, 0, 5 take away 2, 3, 5 take away 5, 0, and 2 take away 0 is 2. So I know that I need 20,300 milliliters. Okay, so now how do I figure it out? How do I figure out how many buckets I need? Well, this is my total, and I need to find out how many of those buckets it's going to take to fill it up. So I know I can't add them together. That won't work. I know I don't need to subtract 800 milliliters from that because I would have a whole lot more. And I could do that repeated subtraction. I could do 20,300 take away 800. And then I could keep taking away and taking away. But we know from being in class, and we tried it once, it takes a long time. So I know it's not multiplying because if I multiply 20,300 times 800, that means I'm getting more and more units. So I wish I had our ink chart from our classroom that talks about our multiplying and dividing, but we don't have it. So let me just talk it through. We have a total. We have our buckets, and we need to find out how many buckets will go into this number. That is division. We need to divide our numbers. So my 20,300, that is my dividend. And then my divisor is that bucket because I need to know how many of those buckets will fit into my dividend. So I have one bucket is 300 milliliters, and I need to find out how many buckets I can do to get to this number. So let's think through our math here. So 300, it can't go into 2, it can't go into 20, it can't go into 203. Can 300, oh, sorry, it's not 300. I just looked at that. I had that 300 from the 20,000 in my head. It's 800. So Let me fix that. There we go. We have our 800. See, I need you guys here to tell me when I made those mistakes. Good thing I caught that before I started dividing. All right, so I have 800 into 20,300. I know it can't go into 203, so I'm thinking 2,030. How many times can I put 800 into 2,030? So I'm kind of using our standard algorithm here. Some of you like to use it, some of you don't, but that's how I'm going to think about it because this is kind of a big number. So I know it won't fit into 203, but I do know that it will fit into 2,030. So I'm going to use some mental math. 800 times 1 would be 800. 800 times 2 would be 1,600 because 8 times 2 is 16, and then I add those 2 zeros on the end. And then 800 times 3 would be 2,400. Well, that's too high. So I know that I want to start with my 2. So I'm going to put my 2 up above. I got a little sloppy here. Let me fix it. Okay, so I put my 2 up above this 0 because that's what I'm working with. I'm working with 2,030 right now. And then I put, I think I said this right. See, I need you guys here. I have 800 times 2. 8 times 2 is 16, plus I add those 2 zeros, so I have 1,600. I'm going to do my subtraction now. Subtract that out. I have 0 take away 0 is 0, 3 take away 0 is 3, 10 take away 6. Did you get that? I have to borrow to make that my 10. 10 take away 6 is 4, and then 1 take away 1 is 0. So I have 430. All right, so I know that I went high enough because I can't fit 800 into 430, but I have to remember this last 0 down here. So I'm going to drop it down. So now I have 4,300. So I know I could use my 2 again. I could use 1,600 or 1,600, but I want to get closer. I want to do it faster. So I think in my head I had done 800 times 3 is 2,400. So then I do 8 times 4, which is 32. Then I add my 2 zeros. I have 3,200. Then I do 8 times 5 is 40, plus my 2 zeros would be 4,000. And I think I'm going to stop there. I'm getting a lot of numbers. So I'm going to put my 5 up above that other 0 and write my 4,000 right down here. So I'm going to do my subtraction, and 4,300 take away 4,000 leaves me with 300. Well, I can't go any further because 800 doesn't fit into 300, so I have a remainder of 300. So I know that it's going to take 25 buckets to get to 20,300. But here's the thing. In my problem, it said that I needed to fill the barrel all the way up. Well, I have a remainder of 300. So I still have some that I need to fill up. So the least number of buckets to fill that barrel all the way to the top would be 26. I would need to round up to 26 to make sure that I fill that barrel all the way to the top. And that is my best mistake. Is a lot of us stopped right here at 25, but our problem asked to fill it up. And it's not full if we stop at 25. So we need to put one more in, and that gets us 26.